The Mercedes SL is automotive aristocracy, and it's one of Mercedes-Benz's greatest models. Thing is though, Mercedes-Benz don't build them all too often, so when a new one comes along, the whole world stands up and takes notice. The SL, or Sport Light, burst onto the scene 70 years ago in 1954. That first car, the Gullwing 300 SL, was effectively a road-going version of the W194 racing car. And over the next 7 decades, the SL transformed from an elegant racer for the road to a full-on luxury GT drop-top. It's fair to say though that over the years the words sporty and light have pretty much been forgotten, particularly with this car's previous version, the R231, which was neither of those things. But Mercedes though promises the new SL is back on form. Mercedes wants to get the SL back to that hardcore road racer it started out as, so it's handed the keys over to its in-house tuning department, AMG. This new R232 SL aims to be lighter, sharper and keener to drive, while also delivering the kind of wafty GT experience the SL has been known for so long. It certainly looks meaner than earlier SLs, but it still weighs nearly 2 tons. That's modern cars for you. It might not actually be all that light, but Mercedes-AMG has tried. It's ditched the heavy and complicated electric hardtop of the previous car for a soft top. The last SL that had one of these was the R129. Inside, there's the same kind of infotainment system and large screen that you get in the latest S-Class limo. And there are a couple of seats in the back. Again, something the SL hasn't had for quite a while. Mercedes-AMG has done this to make the SL better compete with the Porsche 911. But, like the 911, you're not going to fit anyone in them. Now, on first impressions, this interior is very well made. I like the leather-covered surfaces, the metal detailing, and the new Mercedes steering wheel with its 4 little spokes and touch-sensitive buttons. It all works very well and it all looks very lovely. But when you remember this car costs £108,000, I would have hoped that these air vents wouldn't feel quite so plasticky. They feel really cheap actually. And talking of cheap, I don't like this row of buttons. This plastic kind of bar that they're mounted on just feels incredibly fragile. And call me old-fashioned, but to operate a soft-top electric roof like this, I like to have a button or a lever. Here, you just get a slider on the touchscreen and you just slide your finger across and then the soft top starts to work. It just feels like something you find on your iPhone. Although the fact that it takes just 15 seconds to do its business and you can operate this at speeds of up to 40 miles an hour, I think I can forgive it. Since filming this, AMG has decided the 63 doesn't quite go far enough. It'll shortly introduce an even more potent version called the SL63 SE Performance. This plug-in hybrid will pair the same V8 with an electric motor to give a jaw-dropping 804 brake horsepower. Now, when you take the roof down, the screen, the touchscreen, automatically goes into an upright position, and that's so you get less glare on the screen. But whilst it works very well, it's not very good for you on the camera, is it? Because it's sort of in the way. Now, happily, you can lower it. There we are, look at that. Fantastic. Tesla who? Now, Mercedes has ditched the 6-cylinder and the V12 engines in the SL. They've left just 3 engines now. There's a 2-litre 4-cylinder turbo. It's got some F1 wizardry in it. It's got electric turbo and it pushes out 381 brake horsepower, and it's no slouch. 0 to 62 miles an hour takes 4.9 seconds. And the 2 remaining engines, well, they are V8s. Now, this is the 55, and it's the one to go for, really. There will be plenty of people who will want the 63 just so that they can brag they've got the best SL, but this is the best version because 0 to 62 miles an hour still takes 3.9 seconds, and that's only 0.3 seconds slower than the 63. Now, both of them use a 9-speed automatic gearbox. It's not quite as responsive and as sharp to change gear as the PDK that you find in a Porsche 911, but it's not far off at all. Let's knock it down a couple of gears, shall we? And while we're at it, let's engage the sports exhaust system. Let's knock it down to 3rd and let's floor it, shall we? Now, I don't know if you heard it there. The gearbox is not quite as sharp as I'd want it to be, but still, it's not too bad at all. And you can just hear that fabulous engine. And I think this V8 will go down in the history books as one of the great modern engines. Not only is it fabulously powerful, fabulously tunable and potent, but it's also tremendously flexible as well. And get this, I got 24 mpg on the way down here. 24 mpg in a V8. Fantastic. I have to say though, this does feel like a big car, and I think it's exacerbated by the fact you sit so low down and everything is so high around you. I would like a little bit more visibility out the front. I mean, the bonnet sort of drops away and I can't really see the front end of the car. But aside from that, it's quite an easy car to place on the road. Despite me having said all of that, it is quite easy to drive. Of course, this car is completely configurable. You can do that via these little toggles on the steering wheel, all through the touchscreen. If we look at the ones on the steering wheel, the one on the right, that's your drive mode selector. So you've got Comfort, Sport, Sport Plus. There's an individual mode where you can change all the different parameters, and there's a slippery road mode, should you want to use that. My favorite is Sport because you've still got really good reaction time from the engine, the dampers stiffen up a little bit, and yet you've still got a compliant ride. And on the one on the left, you can change the suspension settings if you want to, you can control the sports exhaust system, a multitude of different things. One thing that I wish AMG had worked just a little bit harder on is the steering. It's not quite as crisp as you'd want it to be. In a 911, you've got lovely tactility to whenever you turn the steering wheel. Here, there's a slight numbness, but I think it's better than the steering you find in an F-Type or a 8 Series BMW. But yeah, it's not quite as good as the 911. That aside though, the work AMG has done on this new SL is nothing short of remarkable. The old SL, the previous version of this car, to me just felt like a big pudding to drive. It was just too comfortable, too relaxed. This, you've still got the comfort. You can knock it back into comfort mode, you can turn the sports exhaust off, and you can sort of waft along. But you can also really sharpen it up, and when you do, this car feels so agile, so keen to respond to you, or to whatever you want it to be. And in that regard, AMG has put the SL back to how it always was, a lovely blend of being really driver-focused, but also capable of going on a wonderful long-distance continental tour. Now, if you go for the SL43, you won't feel shortchanged because of that engine's so much lighter than the V8. Consequently, there's less weight over the front axle, and it does handle a lot better. It's also got passive suspension, so the responses are a little bit more consistent. But in my mind, an SL has to have a V8. It goes back to the days of the SL 500, and this 4-litre twin-turbo V8 will go down as one of the best in modern times. We're not going to have V8s so much longer, but what a way to end.
Excuse me, please don't forget your phone.
So polite, isn't it? And that's not the only thing the SL is good at, because the level of attention to detail AMG has put on this car is sensational. This is an incredibly sharp and engaging car to drive. Now, arguably, the Jaguar F-Type is more sporty to look at, more elegant to look at, prettier, if you will. The Porsche 911 is a better all-rounder, and the BMW 8 Series, that's more practical. But if you want a car that combines a lot of that, but still has a fantastic driving experience and has the pedigree that only the SL has, this is the car to go for.